G'day guys, how we going? I'm already having issues with the camera, so I'm assuming this is probably going to drop in and out a fair bit today. So supposedly Camo did an update, but the update doesn't seem to have done pretty much anything to fix the problem. So I don't know. New chords and stuff, so I can't work out what the issue is. Whatever, technology, gotta love it. Quickly run through where we are on the standings. You see there, Jakey and Kenneth both off to a 5-1 start in the defunct conference, not division. Division, yeah, no. And Spirit with the Saints also 5-1. Then we've got two teams sitting at 500. The Bears and the Dolphins at 3-3. And I think another 4 teams. Yep, 4 teams sitting at 2-4 between Buffalo, Akron, Philly, and Green Bay, and myself sitting at 1-5. Off to a pretty cruddy start. So, yeah. Tippin is leading that at the moment. We have had one game this week. Dave claims to have not submitted and whatever. Anyway, whatever. Sure, he'll have something to whinge about if he loses tipping by 1 point at the end of the year. 3 teams tied at 38 currently. What have we got? Joey, David, and Kenneth. Matt 2 points behind on 36. Myself and Paddy on 35. There goes the camera. I don't care as long as the audio still works. Then Jake and Spirit on 34. Robbie 32 and Jared sitting there on 29. Survivor. We actually had a couple of people bow out of Survivor last week. Definitely the longest we've had the entire group stay in it. Last second Packers upset loss to the Browns has knocked out both Dave and Jake. Every week seems to be close. You can see what I'm sitting there on at the moment. If you said I probably is a Buffalo this week, unless I change my mind, but I don't think I will. Probably stay on Buffalo. Who cares? It's not a secret. Said everyone, just about everyone used Buffalo last week, so yeah. All right. Normally I go to quickly run over the recap from last week. Whether I do a preview for the week or not, don't know. Don't know if guess what? I'll click on previews. Recaps. There we go. Alright. Supposed game of the week last week was supposed to be between myself and Jared. Jared managed to grab 2 wins on a 0.36 of a point win for the week. Yeah. Not the closest result we've ever had in the league. I think there's been two games that were closer. But look, I had a couple of decisions that I made. I picked up Chris Boswell, dropped Harrison Butker. I think Butker scored about 17 points and Boswell scored 3. I was close to dropping Johnny Hecker and picking up another punter. Wouldn't have been hard to outdo 0.5 of a point. And I believe I had Geno Smith in my lineup all the way up until Sunday night and benched him for Michael Penix Jr. And yeah, that was not a good result. Anyway, whatever. Congrats to Jared. No massive didn't get any enormous performances. Garrett Wilson had a good one. From myself, Tyrell Dodson, Jordan Davis, and Brandon Jones all had pretty good games. But yeah, anyway, congrats to Jared. Good win, man, and much needed 2 wins, I think. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was sitting on the duck egg before last week. So, then we got the Saints up against the All Americans. Yeah, look, friggin' hell, man. Dave's got a massive performance there from George Karloftis. I think he had like 11 tackles or something crazy like that for a defensive end. Is freaking insane. Nearly 60 points. And vice versa. Spirit gets a massive week out of Hunter Henry in a fairly depleted tight end room that he's got at the moment. So I'll touch base on some of this stuff soon. But yeah, look, I think Spirit's got a pretty strong team. Going to be hard to beat every single week. And the healthier he gets, plus a couple of guys coming back from suspension, which are going to help his roster immeasurably. But whereas I think Dave might already be starting to struggle. Losing Bosa now for the season too does not help. Good win for Spirit and keeps him on top of the division. So, Packers and Steamrollers. It wasn't even a close game, this one. The defending champs, they've had 1 good week and 2 really bad weeks. Another sub 300 point performance, and that is not going to win any games generally in this league. And Kenneth probably, he's off to a 5-1 start. I don't think his team's going amazing, but while you're racking up wins, you'll take the wins because it's a hell of a lot harder to grab them when you can't get when you're struggling. So you're winning. That's your main objective. Obviously, grab your head-to-head win if you can grab your and he's obviously grabbing bonus wins too. So yeah, 5-1, off to a great start. Tied for the division lead. Yeah, and Paddy, man, one of probably 3 or 4 teams that are really struggling in this league right now. All right, Bears and Bulldogs. I think most of us would have thought this was going to be a pretty high-scoring game. At the end of it, though, there wasn't a high scoring at all. There was a couple of big performances there, but they mid 300s is not high scoring at all. Neither one of them would have got a bonus point win. Jake manages to grab the W over his old boy and stay on top of the division. Grabbed his first loss for the season though, not getting the bonus point win. So yeah. For Matt, he was off to a good start, but 0-2 last week drops him down to 3-3 on the season. Still doing plenty fine. He's got a good enough team to not worry too much about that. Eagles and Pros. Robbie's team exploded last week. Had a huge week, pushing 475. Man, that's a huge week. So obviously got two wins for the week. Joey a bit unlucky, but if you're not cracking 400, I don't consider it too unlucky if you don't win a game. It's when you're getting into that mid to high 400s and you start getting rolled. They're the ones that are hard to take. but he manages to grab the bonus win and go 1-1 on the week. And where did that have him? 2-4, I think. Yeah, 2-4 on the season. So, yeah. But yeah, so Robbie, much needed win last week. He started the season off 0-4. We'll be very happy grabbing that massive score. Yeah, it just needs to try and keep it going. So, all right. Some things. Now, I know a lot of people like to refer to bench points and so forth about your depth of how good your roster is. Depth, your bench points can be a little bit misleading. If you have, say, 5 or 6 starting quarterbacks, obviously you can only ever start 2 of them. So, and you're going to amass a lot of bench points in that case. I think your best case of probably how strong your team is right now is probably potential points. And I think there already looks like, I think there's about 4 or 5 really good teams. Maybe not. I think there's actually three standouts right now, and then there's a group that are probably together that could contend depending on how things go. Then there's a group of us down the bottom that I think are very close to in trouble. I think the top 3 teams there on that list, the Saints, Bulldogs and Bears, are the 3 best teams in the league. And I think they will be 3 of the final 4 teams in the league when it's all said and done. I'll touch a little bit more on this. I've actually done a little thing myself, so we've got Spirit's team sitting there. So potential points so far for him could have been 1,742 points for the season. Now that's obviously if he was to select his most optimal lineup every week. No one's ever going to do that. I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit 100%, so it's just not happening. Too many variables, too many guys that score that wouldn't have or would never score. Anyway, so I was looking at Spirit's team. It said his weakest point on his offense is quarterback. Hang on, I'll go back. I'll put his roster up on the screen so that I don't feel like I'm talking out of my ass trying to remember who everyone had. I am probably talking out of my ass anyway, but so yeah, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, and JJ McCarthy. Now, I'm not McCarthy's biggest fan in the world. Didn't particularly love what I watched in the Bears game, and by all reports, I didn't watch the second game. He looked even fucking worse than that. So, but I mean, he's got Josh Allen. Said you got one superstar quarterback, and if Darnold can just be average, which he pretty much is average, that's fine. But you just don't have a lot else there at quarterback. So I had his running backs very strong, possibly a position where he could move off of one of them to strengthen at wide receiver or tight end. Well, his tight ends are scoring well, but I mean, Hunter Henry just scored 46 points last week. That's probably not repeatable for him. Cheek's going okay, but he's got Kittle on IR. I don't know how long Kittle's actually out for. But wide receiver is probably his weakest position on offense. Myers, I think, is a good solid starter. Malik Neighbours, if he's healthy and if his head's in the right spot, is obviously a starter every week. It's not a lot else after that, though. Thornton's probably not someone you can rely on. I don't know that you'd want to start Wandale Robinson and Malik Neighbours on a weekly basis. Do you trust the Giants' offense? And I think they're going to Dart now, so even more reason. Like, I don't know. I could, but he does have Jordan Addison back this week from suspension. Really hasn't elevated yet. And Rashee Rice, who's back in 3 weeks, I think it is. So, it looks rough at the moment, but he's also started off 5-1 without basically those three guys, and he's going to come out of it looking pretty damn strong. Now, whether Addison can hit the ground running, whether that offense can get it going under McCarthy or not, I don't know. But he should still be a startable proposition for him. I kind of thought maybe he could move off one of the running backs to try and get some receiver or tight end help. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. But he's definitely in a position of strength. Defensively, I think I looked at his roster. I thought safety was possibly the only position maybe that he might chase somebody, but he doesn't really need much on defense. His team's pretty strong. He's got nice deep defensive tackles, defensive ends, all scoring well. So yeah, his team's in pretty good shape, and I can't see a way that he's not a contender for the title. The only thing that stops him is an injury to, say, Josh Allen. But you can say that for any team. You lose your number one quarterback, you're probably in a world of hurt. So, all right, next on the list I got Jake here. Jake's actually not particularly strong at quarterback. Now, look, I know Rattler's putting up some points, and he may or may not use him as a quarterback. I don't know. Pretty hard to. Yeah, that's what I thought he'd be. I thought he'd be starting Stroud every week, but Stroud's just been terrible, and he looks fucking terrible out there too. So quarterback is an issue for Jake. He's pretty much got Herbert, and cross your fingers and hope with Stroud. Running back, Barkley and Taylor are as good as starters as anyone in the league. And your combination of Adams, Lamb, and Odunze are probably three of your best wide receiver combos you could have. Three of the best wide receiver combination you could have. Unfortunately, I think Lamb is going to be out. They were talking possibly IR. I don't know. I know I saw him mention potential IR stint the other day, but doesn't seem to be anything happening there. So, yeah, but there is depth issues for Jake on offense. Not a lot at running back. Stevenson couldn't stop fumbling last week, so I mean that doesn't bode well for him going forward. And then it's a matter of, can you trust Keon Coleman to use him as a starter? So 36 points 1 week, and he's basically done fuck all since. So, yeah, I don't know, man. And at tight end, Njoku's been beaten out by a rookie on his own team. Harold Fannin at the moment is outscoring him. I think he's scoring all right, but not. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and you take that. You're mid-teens, the mid-teens to 20-point sort of area. I'm happy with that out of a tight end every week. Kelsey's doing the same. I just don't think there's much left in the tank with Kelsey. I think he's just about done. And defensively, I don't think... I didn't have any major issues on defense. I did say the only thing that might... that Jake's got up his sleeve, that he could possibly use a Buka from Taxi Squad to elevate him, to give some depth at wide receiver. But if he gets a major injury happen between sort of Taylor, Barkley, and he's already got it at Lamb, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know how long Lamb's out for, but that's where his trouble is. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, he's definitely a contender, 100%. Providence comes up on my list next at 5-1 also. What do I have here? I said one of the few teams that don't have any issues at quarterback. Daniel Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Drake May, and Aaron Rodgers are all startable propositions on a week-to-week basis. So, although his running backs were still pretty solid, McCaffrey's come back well from injury, doesn't seem to be having any issues. Tony Pollard will only get better as the Titans get better through the year, as Cam Ward gets some time under his belt and the offense starts to gel better. And Genty, I think the Raiders are just a bit clunky at the moment. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. He just had a slowish sort of start. Probably got a get right game this week up against the Bears, who can't stop the run at all, and have injuries galore. So, yeah. I do question why Jermaine Burton's still on his roster. He has no business being rostered in any league, just about, in any format. But wide receivers are solid, not spectacular. And tight ends probably getting carried by a hot start from Juwan Johnson. But they're serviceable at least. So. Did say could probably use a defensive end. They're alright, but no one's scoring particularly great. And DTs, I actually think he's got some good DTs. They're not performing right now. I think Kobe Turner will just get better as the season goes along. And safety doesn't have a lot of depth there. They're alright. The starters are alright, but he's definitely got more linebackers there to use as a starting option than your safety. So, yeah, that's where the depth of his team is. My next team to talk about was Matt. Off to a 3-3 start. Obviously does not need any help at quarterback. Overloaded there. His biggest issue is underperforming wide receivers at the moment, in my opinion. Probably been starting. No, hasn't been starting Keenan Allen early. T. Higgins has been doing nothing, and I just don't know. No, he's had one good week, 20-point week there against the Jags. But Calvin Ridley's off to a slow start. Most people thought he'd be pretty solid this year. DJ Moore, I don't think's been spectacular. He hasn't. Cortland Sutton wasn't doing well up and he's had two good weeks. No, he's alright. Of course, didn't start him last week against the Chargers. So, and then obviously tight end's not a problem. Got plenty of tight end help there. So, and defensively, I said there was no issues at all. He's pretty strong. Probably one of the few teams in the league that don't really have any glaring weaknesses or holes anywhere. So, yes, definitely contender. Miami next. Jared. Now, Um, Jared's been a bit unlucky with quarterback injuries at the moment. Looks like Daniels will be back this. Oh, it's not Daniels. Fields will be back this week, and looks like Brock Purdy is back. Yep, returning this week. So that helps his quarterback room already. Henry Irving and Williams have all been off to. They're all startable running backs for sure. So wide receiver, picking up AJ Brown in that trade has helped his wide receiver room massively. Now you've got starters where you can look at AJ Brown, Ricky Pearsall, George Pickens, and Garrett Wilson. There's 4 really good starting wide receivers without looking at anyone else. Plus you've got Mike. I didn't say Mike Evans. I didn't mention Evans because he was out injured. So technically he's got 5 receivers there that can start on it any given week. Tight ends, Pitts and Andrews have been okay. So defensively, mentioned defensive end as somewhere he could possibly improve, but it's not a glaring weakness or anything. He's got guys there that could score. It's good, strong linebacking crew. Good corners scoring well, and safeties are pretty strong. I actually had him as another team that didn't have a lot of weaknesses in his lineup at the moment. Obviously, the quarterback's getting healthy helps that along. What have we got now? Robbie's team up next. Yep. Philadelphia Eagles off to a 2-4 start. Quarterback's not an issue. Running backs are not performing particularly well. Hubbard's been all right. Jordan Mason. Depending on, I'm not sure how long Aaron Jones is out for, but he's an exceptional starter if Jones is out. So the worrying part for Robbie's lineup is his wide receivers. This is where I come back to that AJ Brown part of that trade. I I don't know, man. I'm not trying to bag you, Robbie. You put AJ Brown back in this lineup, and it looks a lot better. Anyway, whatever. Shit happens. But if you believe Tucker will keep going at the rate he is, great. He had a massive week 2 weeks ago. Oh, last week, I mean. I don't know, man. Too many times guys do that sort of thing, and it's just a flash in the pan. That's all they do for the season. Diggs hasn't been doing a lot. Hopkins, just solid. Cup, just solid. There's too many questions at wide receiver. Could possibly get away with starting a couple of tight ends instead. Yeah. And I don't think... What do I say? Yeah, the defense is in a pretty good spot. You're strong enough, deep enough, sort of around the spot at defense, but that's the wide receiver room is not in a good place at all, and scary, especially for the length of the season. At Dave's team, sitting at 2-4 also. Quarterback room is very, very scary. Love's not playing particularly well. Tua, just average, okay. But he's got a couple of good running backs. He's got a couple of really good wide receivers that are going well. Just not Dave's biggest problem is the depth behind those guys. I'm assuming most weeks he's going to start JSN, Puka. He's probably starting Lad McConkey every week. Yeah, he is. Jahmyr Gibbs and somebody else. Whether it's Kenneth Walker or, I don't know, whichever one. Possibly Devontae Smith, I don't know. No, he hasn't been starting him. It's probably Walker. No. I don't know what he's starting. Might be Pittman. Yep, there's his Colts fucking fanboy coming out in him. Anyway, tight end doesn't have a lot behind Tyler Warren. The other guys are just guys. They're nothing special. Defensively, defensive end is an absolute horror show now without Nick Bosa. There's no depth behind what Bosa was doing. And outside of that, I thought the rest of it looked okay. There's not a lot at safety though. Couple of guys and that's it, really. Definitely needs some help there. But yeah, he's got some pieces, but I don't know. There's just some holes on the team that just are going to make it really hard for him to be in contention. Joey's Akron Pros 2-4 also. Pretty much down to one quarterback for the season at this point with Lamar. If Lamar got hurt, man. If Lamar got hurt, it is endgame for Joey. It is done. I don't know if he's even considering bringing up Jackson Dart from taxi squad or not, but yeah, it's a problem. He's got 3 running backs there that are producing solid points. Pretty good receiving room. Tight ends are solid. So, I just said defensive end could possibly use a little bit of an upgrade, but I mean that's Benito's doing well. Aiden Hutchinson, you'd imagine, will start to get points at some point. So defensive ends have never been a particularly consistent position. Strong linebackers and solid enough everywhere else. So, but yeah, Joey's big issues is the quarterback room. That quarterback room makes it very, very hard. What am I clicking on that for? Pat at 2-4, the defending champs. He's in trouble. Got a lot of guys not scoring. Murray and Nick's probably alright at quarterback, but nothing behind them. And yeah, if an injury was to happen, then yeah, he's basically where Joey is. Although Joey's got better depth across on offense. Breece Hall's done shit all outside of the first week. Yep, that's what I thought. Nico Collins has been pretty average outside. He had one good week last week. There you go. But yeah, just solid outside of that. Justin Jefferson hasn't had a great start to the season either. Just sort of around that 20 points a game, which that's not too bad. Dwayne Jennings has been injured. Yep. There's. I think Paddy's in some trouble. He's easily his best player on offense has been Trey McBride. Defenses ends haven't been good. Parsons definitely has some upside. It's just a matter of whether he can shake free from the injury, how bad that is. I've said he could use some safety help as well, but I mean that gets better if once Elliott comes back, which could actually be this week, I think. Yeah, he's back this week, so there you go. That helps his safety room. Elliott, Lake Murray, and Reed probably starters, probably. But yeah, I think Paddy's down there with a couple of us in contention for the clown suit, unfortunately. Then there's myself at 1-5, start to the season. Quarterbacks, what did I say? Okay, but really a weakness. It's not good. Stafford's doing all right. Nothing. Yeah, he's around that 20 sort of point quarterback these days. Gino had a big week last week. Big week, good week one, and shocking week two. So, running back wise, I've really only got Bijan. Trey Benson should score all right for the season, but looks like he's gonna. Who knows? It looks like he's splitting carries again now with freaking Democado, who's fucking shit too. So, wide receivers, it's a solid room, but Jamar Chase is definitely capped with what he'll do. I think for the rest of the season there without Burrow. Yeah, there's depth at wide receiver, but it's just nothing really stands out. So, tight ends, yeah, same. It's just average. Dalton Kincaid had a pretty good start to the season. Evan Ingram's been invisible, but that's more like the Denver offense than anything else. I don't think Ingram's done anything particularly bad. I just don't think their offense is clicking at all. Defensively, DTs are going alright. Defensive ends have been there's some depth there, but they've for the most part been pretty shit. Linebackers a bit dinged up on me. So I didn't carry a lot into the season and lost a couple that I thought would be contributors. Dodson's playing well though, so CBs, whatever. And safeties are alright. Not great, but yeah, alright. So overall, I'd say right now, like I said before, leading into this, I think there's 3 standout teams. I think the winner of the league comes from either Spirit, Jake, or Matt. And I would say teams like Kenneth, Jared, maybe Joey, probably are the teams likely to be in contention for the Titan Bowl playoffs. And unfortunately, I think myself, Robbie's a chance to elevate. Just that wide receiver room scares the shit out of me. And Pat, obviously, and David. Yeah, that's it. So I think those are the 4. I think they're the 4 teams that I think will be in the Titanic Bowl playoffs. Personally, I was going to go over this, but yeah, I don't really want to. Chewing up some time already, so I'll just quickly go over. Oh no, alright. So I'll do this. I won't even worry about this week's matchups. So I've shown this previously, snapshots and stuff into the chat in the years past. I just don't really have time to make up spreadsheets or anything anymore. But this gives an idea. So at the moment, Robbie's this is the strength of Robbie's team as quarterback. He's pretty easily the highest scoring. Well, not easily, but he's off to a good start quarterback wise. And you can see down here both myself and Jared both struggling at quarterback. Bit behind everyone else score wise. Gets a little bit harder to go over this part of things where you go through your running backs and your wide receivers and tight ends and stuff, because obviously teams start different formations. So, I know I've only got 91 points for the season at running back, but I think for the most part I've only started Bijan outside of this week, where I threw in Trey Benson the other night. So, yeah, when you're only starting one of a position, then obviously the scores look worse. But Spirit's running backs, which I would expect to be his strength, are his strength. Just out of Jakey, who I'd also expect to be the strength of his offense. Philly being up there, I'm assuming that means that Robbie's been starting 3 running backs most weeks. So, looking at that. Wide receivers, What do we got? Joey's team. The pros, pretty significant leader with the All-Americans next. Then myself, which I think is a bit misleading because, like I say, I've been starting 4 of them most weeks. So, and you look down here and Robbie's team's putting up 66 points for the season at wide receiver. And, yeah, it's probably because he's only starting 1, maybe 2. Tight ends. What do we got there? Highest scorers. Green Bay Packers. And then the Chicago Bears. I think there's a chance Matt's possibly starting 2 of them. Possibly. Yeah, it probably is, actually. Kicker, punter, who cares? DTs, yeah, whatever. There's no one scoring particularly high there anyway, so. Defensive ends. Steamrollers. The worst in the league at the moment. The Saints and Eagles are basically putting up the best score in the league with Chicago just behind. Linebackers, I would say, I was going to say, I would have thought Jared's team would be on top of that, and it is just ahead of Akron. They're pretty much the standouts there. CVs. Oh, apparently I'm leading somewhere. And safety. That's misleading too, because I know I'm starting like 4 of them every week. So, but yeah, Robbie's team's a fair way ahead there. No, I'll quickly race over the games this week, and that'll do me. Game of the week, and probably would have been the game of the week regardless, is what do we got? The Saints up against the Bulldogs. Jake and Spirit, 2-5-1 teams. Historically, it's 1-1 head to head, and probably gives you an idea of where this game will be. To be honest, I'm not going to give a tip. I'm not tipping anyone anymore. But it should be a good game. What are they? They're tipping Spirit to win with Fantasy Sharks. So Fantasy Sharks has got Spirit as a small favourite. It should be. I'd imagine that these are 2 teams that are both going to be looking at a bonus win this week, regardless. So, yeah. Akron Pros, Staten Island Stableman's head-to-head lifetime is Akron leading 3-1. Probably be 4-1 after this week. Got Akron as a small favourite, but look, they who knows? Probably deserved favourite. To be honest, I think they're a better team. So, Buffalo All-Americans and the Providence Steamrollers. Head-to-head, it's a 3-1 record to Providence lifetime. And according to Fantasy Sharks, they've got David down as the favourite. So, yeah, not much. There's not a big margin in any of these games. So, and last of all, I think it's one more. Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles. They've got the Eagles. Yeah, they got the Eagles in as the favourite at the moment, marginally over Jared's team. Should be an interesting game. Lifetime 2-2. It's a matter of how many is he starting here at wide receiver. Yeah, he's only starting 2 tight ends, 1 wide receiver. And I think Terry McLaurin's out, mate. So Robbie, you need to address that situation if you haven't looked at it. And Bears and Packers. It's 1-3. So currently the Packers hold a 3-1 record against the Bears. And a marginal favourite, and I mean marginal favourite in this matchup. I don't know why. We'll see. certainly the way the league's gone this season, you wouldn't lean that way. But sorry, I've got birds flying around over here, and it's annoying. It's grabbing my attention because I see it out of the corner of my eye. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Anyway, guys. Thank you. Good luck. And I'm not going to bring out anything up about injuries because it's been pretty shitty the last couple of weeks, actually. I think a few teams have been decimated by injuries already. All right. See you later, guys.